New this week from DC Comics, Batman First Night, issue number 3, written by Dan Jurgens, art by Mike Perkins. This week saw the finale issue of the fantastic historical fiction Batman epic from DC Black Label, chronicling the early career of a Batman of the 1930s, a world on the brink of war. I had really enjoyed the series from the outset, but it was this final issue that really made me fall in love with the concept. I'd love for this to be a new recurrent DC Black Label series that we get new chapters of. I mean, if we're doing new Dark Knights of Steel and new Gotham by Gaslight, then we can certainly do this. If you've been longing for more Cape and Cowl detective Batman stories in popular media like I have, or are looking for an imaginative, thoughtful genre piece to whisk you away back in time, then this is the book for you. Alright, let's dive into the finale issue now with some spoilers. Issue number 3 picks back up from the shocking final image of the preceding issue where we saw Batman holding a handgun that Commissioner Gordon had given him in order to protect himself. It's one of the key details in Batman mythos that I feel like we often take for granted. That Batman doesn't use a gun against these insane villains and creatures, or at least it's not as represented in modern Batman comics because it's a given facet of the character at this point. But in this series set in the 1930s with a Bruce Wayne that is totally alone with his fanciful obsession of crime fighting, it was actually a really poignant moment here to see him wrestling with the notion of using a gun and what that would mean for him as a person as well as a hero. I mean, I almost wouldn't blame him for using a gun in the context of this comic where he's fighting literal zombie men with super strength. The scene is interrupted by the arrival of Bruce's unwitting love interest in this series, a Hollywood starlet named Julie, who is in a public relationship with her famous co-star, but he's secretly gay. Which is just a really amazing, fun plot detail that I think really grounds the world of this series and makes it feel more real. Julie is shocked to learn of Bruce's alter ego, but ultimately sympathizes with his purpose and confesses her worry for Bruce's well-being, leading to a passionate, shadow-obscured romance scene that's straight out of old Hollywood. This is as fine a moment as any to say that I really enjoyed that this series strayed away from subtle nods to or overt character inclusions of legacy characters. I think they would have done more harm than good in this historically specific tale. Like a lesser version of this story would have named the Hollywood starlet Kitty, and then we see a scene where she steals a prop on set because she just can't help herself. Then later on we're all shocked because she's the Catwoman! Oh my god, who could have seen it coming? In the morning after lovemaking, Julie discovers Bruce not in bed, but in his garage/lab/Batcave, dissecting the corpse of one of the zombified men, which is just a brilliant scene for showcasing how weird Bruce is. Bruce is able to determine from this autopsy that whatever chemical these once executed men were injected with was not permanent and therefore would have resulted in death regardless of their initial reanimation. This allows Bruce to synthesize a chemical that accelerates the process of decay that he gifts to Commissioner Gordon in typical appear and disappear Batman fashion. Next, we cut back to our humble Rabbi Cohen, who has acted as Bruce's moral guide in this saga thus far. And it's just a really earnest and topical inclusion in this series that I really appreciate. What's more, I really like that Jurgens is using the threat of a dogmatic, fear-induced control by a heinous Gotham villain as a parallel for the horrific events and world war that are about to shake society. I appreciate that not only did we not shy away from World War II and the subject of fascism, we actively had conversations and scenes regarding violent fanaticism, and Jewish characters prominently featured. Rabbi Cohen is saved from an attack by local thugs from an unlikely character, the pimp/informant named Maxie, that the Batman convinced to protect Rabbi Cohen out of respect to his own Jewish people. Which I thought was a really nice touch, seeing Batman inspire people to do the right thing even this early in his career. From here, Batman moves to identify the mysterious figure known as The Voice, who has been orchestrating the attacks of the zombified men on Gotham politicians. Bruce believes that the warden of the penitentiary where the execution of the zombified men took place is to blame, hoping to vie for control as a prominent political figure in the wake of the murders. But after an intense, epic, classic Batman entrance, the Batman learns that it wasn't the warden, it was the chief officer of the warden, Captain DeBeso, all along. As the Batman gives chase, he realizes that the henchmen of the Voice have already begun to burn Gotham, instilling fear in Gotham citizens in order for DeBeso to swoop in at the last minute and restore order as an authority figure. There's a great final scene here where DeBeso confronts Bruce about his own aspirations, saying that no sane, normal individual would put themselves in harm's way simply for the greater good, alleging that what Bruce really wants is the sense of power that comes from vigilantism. Before we get a real reaction or rebuttal to this notion, the Batman redirects the brandished needle of undead fluid the Voice is holding straight back into his chest. resulting in a rapid, deadly transformation into a pile of pink goo after inhaling all of the chemicals that Gordon has been spraying in the air. I love that this final confrontation leaves Bruce with an unspoken moment of reflection where we, the reader, don't actually know how deep those words cut. But they are important words to consider as Bruce continues to reevaluate his bold choice to confront crime as a symbol of fear and vengeance, which is a sentiment that lingers in our final scene as the Batman speaks to Rabbi Cohen once more. And it's here that Jurgens really ties up the themes of this historical piece as the Batman says, we can stand by and let mayhem and bloodshed happen, or we can step up and make a difference. I'm really sad to see this story go, as I said, as a lot of our interstitial scenes introduced a wealth of really specific and interesting characters. And the artwork by Mike Perkins throughout is so nostalgic and stylistically elevated, I just don't want to let it go. If you're like me and want more of Batman First Night, then you should show your support in your local comic book stores and grab Batman First Night issue number 3 on shelves now. First of all, can we talk about this cover? This is amazing. This is a movie poster. Like I said, there's something really evocative about this image of Batman holding a gun. And I really like this monologue that Bruce delivers about his father and his relationship to guns. God, it's so stylized. It's so perfect. I wonder how many old Clark Gable movies they watched. And yeah, I've really fallen in love with this unique redesign of the Golden Age suit. Batman crashing a biplane? Are you fucking kidding me? And there's such a great, classic, spooky feeling to these pages. This really does make me long for an Adam West Batman era reboot, but we make it serious this time.